Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And I figured I would start off this video with this tweet here, this actually talking about what Ron DeSantis basically said around crypto and how crypto is being treated within the US. And I could not have said it better myself. So we actually do see this. We do see from Eleanor Tourette breaking Governor Ron DeSantis on how he would treat crypto if he becomes president. Now, again, we've seen these false promises when people are running for president. I don't know if it's to cater to some people and a group of people. But for the most part, I don't really trust any of these individuals. I mean, listen, it's all politics. At the end of the day, I don't trust politics. I don't care about politics. I've said it many times in the past. I hope that he is saying the truth here. Because what we haven't seen within the US around crypto has been an absolute joke. But we do see people in Washington don't like it because they don't control it, which I completely agree with it. And they're central planners and they want to have control over society. So Bitcoin represents a threat to them. And so they want to regulate it out of existence for the bureaucracy to just do it on their own. That's what we mean when we say we have to return the government to the people who are our voice. As president, I'll protect the ability to do things like Bitcoin. I just do not have an itch to control everything they may be doing in this space. And I think that the current regime clearly has the DAO for Bitcoin. And this is pretty heavy stuff. And if it continues for another 4 years, they'd probably kill it. So as we do look at regulations, and as we do look at what's happening right now around the US economy, we know that they are very, very heavy in the CBC narrative. All these central bankers are trying to push the CDC. And did anyone ever question on why it's very simple, right? With the CDC, they have full control over it. With the centralized money, they can't control it. They can't even track most of it. If you are utilizing decentralized exchanges, and decentralized wallets and things like that, they can track most of it. So that's why they want, a CBDC. That's why they want to, have full control over it because they want to track everything. They want to trace everything, they want to be in control of everything. It's all about that C word. That control award is a very simple. And also, today, we did see a few articles come out. So first off, what you see from Mr. Hebrew is actually quoting this because this is from Bloomberg today. Crypto startup says it found path to register with the SEC under a broken rule, or a broker rule. Sorry, OTC. Come on, just the headline. Crypto startup says it has found a way to register with the SEC under a broker rule shows that this is a search for the lost treasure. And a lot of people thought that this was this is proof that the SEC is still doing very good by crypto and they are allowing these companies to register with them. And basically, do business. But that's not the case. For example, over here with DC we tried, but the dollar and the SEC just wouldn't let any crypto companies registered. And we do see down here Permission or Prometheum. Is the first legally registered digital asset broker-dealer. The whole thesis of the company is that digital assets are securities and the best way to regulate them is under the federal securities laws. And we do see Coinbase should take note, again, as we do look at what's happening around the space. I think that a lot of people are kind of missing the big picture here. As we actually do see what's happening around Coinbase. And as we do look at what's happening around, regulations as well. I think that Coinbase is right on par with the same argument that we've been, looking at for a while around the space, which is the fact that the SEC doesn't want, to give any sort of leeway to any of these crypto companies, and they actually want to target a lot of these crypto companies and crypto projects and regulate the hell out of them. But I think that a few people were also kind of, right on the money with this. We do see down here from Dan Thurmond over on Twitter headline tomorrow, crypto startup had a chat with Gary Gensler, came into SEC to register its token. Headline the following day: crypto startup says has been sued by the SEC for securities violations. And this is the big problem, like, if the SEC does give in to anything, 9 times out of 10 guess what? It's the target. The same exact company that they met with this come in and register is a complete nonsense set sham statement from the SEC. And all it is ammunition for them to go after any project that they want to. Because what happens is these companies come in, they register, or they talk over with the SEC, and then the SEC utilizes all the information against them. It's a big problem. But also over here, would you see the STC has no intention of providing clear rules for crypto. Coinbase, the US crypto exchange, argues that the SEC had already made up its mind to deny its request for industry-specific rules. This goes back to May 24th. So literally yesterday, and we do see Coinbase accused the US SEC of deliberatively ignoring its potential for adopting clear rules for the crypto industry. Even though the decision has not been made public and slated as filing to the Third Circuit of the US Court of Appeals. Coinbase also pointed to public comments previously made by the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, saying that the SEC is and its chair's words and actions leave no doubt of the agency's plans. Coinbase sent the SEC its so-called petition for rulemaking last July, asking the agency to propose and adopt rules for digital asset securities. The exchange also sought answers to 50 specific questions that would provide clarity and certainty regarding the regulatory treatment of digital asset securities. And guess we didn't hear anything from the SEC. And even today, the SEC doesn't want to answer any questions. We already know this. So this is a big argument that still continues to go on and on and on, is only going to continue to go on in my opinion. I don't think that we're going to have any clear, ideas around crypto rulemaking or regulations or any clarity around the space at all. I'd love to be wrong, but I doubt that we do. But a few other people have been speaking out. Mark Cuban actually just said that the SEC crypto attacks will be futile. I think that as we do look at what's happening around the world outside of the US, crypto is not slowing down. I do think that right now currently, the SEC thinks that they are on the right side of history, or maybe they are just protecting the big bankers. Like we said, we don't know. Right? But all we know, at the end of the day, is outside of the US crypto is thriving, it will continue to thrive. And I do think that the US will eventually have really no choice but to utilize crypto, or at least adopt a crypto framework and create one, which is the best case scenario. I think that we need to have a regulatory framework around crypto that is, working with crypto industry leaders. I think that as we do bring in a lot of these leaders like Brian Armstrong or Brad Garlinghouse or many other leaders from the space to talk with these regulators and actually come to a decision on an actual clear regulatory path on a framework that allows crypto to not only thrive, but to innovate further, would be very beneficial. But I have a lot of doubts that will actually happen. Just because we know the SEC, we know these, agencies within the US, but also even Congress spoke out, right? Recently, we did see more evidence that the SEC chair Gary Gensler is regulation by enforcement regime is pushing digital assets overseas. Congress, not the SEC, must provide legislative clarity for the digital asset ecosystem, so this innovation can thrive in American markets. Now, the big question here is, as we do step back, the big question is the fact that are these agencies also going to be beneficial? Recently, we seen something come out. It was an article talking about the CFTC. For example, do you ever hear breaking news? Regular regulator says CFTC is not crypto friendly over the SEC. This is Christy Romero, one of the 5 commissioners at the CFTC, said that crypto firms should not consider the agency as light touch than the SEC. I thought this was very interesting to say the least. But it kind of makes sense. Like, listen, a lot of these agencies, I just don't think that they're going to be beneficial. I think that everyone's looking at Congress. I think everyone's looking at the CFTC. And they're saying, well, what kind of damage can they do that the SEC hasn't done already? Right. But I think that the big deal here is the fact that everyone thought that Gary Gensler was going to be beneficial for crypto initially, right? Once he did take that chairman position, everyone was like, alright, well, we're gonna have clear regulations around crypto. Guess what? For the last 2.5 years now, we have seen zero work done and a ton of regulatory enforcement actions done from Gary Gensler and the SEC in a negative way. So as we do look at this, like I'm not looking at the CFTC, I'm not looking at Congress as being, the white knight around crypto. I think that all of these agencies are going to be very negative towards crypto. And I think that what we need to have is an agency specifically designed and developed for crypto. And I think that what we need is to decentralize that agency, meaning, I think that we should have regulators, but I also think that we should have thought leaders from this space that are working with regulators in a very clear manner. That way we can have regulations that impose that crypto not only thrives within the US, but also innovation is not stifled. I think that we need to have a clear framework that allows for certain things to be able to be done within crypto. I think that if we have the wrong type of regulations within the US, it could ultimately kill crypto even more than it is now in terms of regulations by enforcement actions that the SEC has been doing, which is also, slowly but surely killing crypto within the US and pushing it outside of the US. Now also, we did see over here from Crypto Law Us, Gary Gensler is adamant that the assault on crypto is protecting investors. But the reality feels more like a child's game, someone making up the rules as they go and changing them on a whim. And yes, this is the perfect way to actually look at this. What's wild about all of this is that if you go back in time, and you actually look at the articles that were coming out around 2022, this one was so clear to me. Coinbase argues the SEC's XRP lawsuit caused $15 billion in losses for retail traders. Now I've mentioned this many times in the past, I've talked about the $15 billion in damages done by the SEC. I actually think that this might be much larger than $15 billion. Again, a lot of this is just its guesstimation. Right, they're just estimating the damages done. Think about all the other damages done by the SEC. I mean, this is just XRP. Think about all the other digital assets, the exchanges, the services that were shut down. Sticking as a service is a huge one. The retail sector can benefit greatly from staking. There's also a lot of problems with staking as well. But if staking done right, it can be very beneficial for the retail sector. I would argue that the damage is done are much larger than $15 billion. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Comment down below what you guys think. But to me, personally, I think that's much larger than $15 billion. And as we do look at what's happening around here against the SEC, we know that this is an agency that is not beneficial at all to the space. And I've said it time and time again, that I just don't trust any of these government agencies to be working on crypto specifically. I don't trust the CFTC. I don't trust Congress. There's a few great congressmen out there that are very pro-crypto. But there's also a lot of congressmen that are negative for the space. We've actually talked about Brad Sherman. Brad Sherman is one. He's absolutely terrible for crypto. He's an individual that loves the fiat dollar. He loves the traditional banking sector, and why wouldn't he, right? Bankers are paying him off left and right. They are, donating tons of money to him. So as we do look at what's happening here, if you are a government agency, you can be corrupted. That's how I look at it, because what we see in the US is corruption, and it runs deep. And I do think that all of these agencies, no matter the size, no matter the power behind them, they're all corrupt. And they can easily be corrupted by the big bankers and the Wall Street players. And I think that this is what we have been seeing for so long, and it's all centered around control. It really is all a control play. I do think that Ron DeSantis is right on the money here. Can we trust him, though? That's the big question. Like, it's kind of sad that we can't trust anyone within the US right now. Because what we have been seeing for years and years and years is nothing but corruption and harm done for crypto, and also anything that really benefits the retail sector. Anything that we do see around the government is always to benefit those that are not the retail sector. It's always to benefit themselves, are the ones that are wealthy, the, rich, and the powerful. And it really is sad. It's a sad game. And I think that this is going to be a continuous game that gets played until, of course, the people are the ones in control. And I think that right now crypto is given the people control. And I think that that's why we are seeing it being attacked so much by these regulators. And it does beg the question, like, what's going to happen within the next couple of weeks, months, and years ahead? Are we going to see crypto thrive within the US? We have no idea. We seriously have no idea. And one thing that we have been watching for is the XRP lawsuit. What do you say over here? Breaking XRP community, Brad Garland House expects a court case resolution in weeks, and not months, following the recent court news regarding the hem and emails. PS feels like the interviewer is an XRP holder. And yes, this was a bombshell announcement from Brad Garland House. He dropped an absolute bomb, and listen closely to this video. Now, in terms of where things stand today, in trying to not get too much into the legal weeds, you're right that I feel very confident that we'll see a decision from the courts in this year. In fact, I think I would guess there'll be in weeks, not months. There's some decisions that happened last week that you may have read about that. The judge ruled against the SEC's effort to redact certain information about a very kind of infamous speech that then Director of Corporate Finance Guy and Bill Hinman gave, talking about why ETH in his view was not a security. And the court just ruled last week that the notes and emails associated that they're going to be made public and should be public on June 13th. So I think that's a huge win for transparency, but it really calls out is there hasn't been clarity, and despite calls and demands from leaders across the crypto industry, we haven't seen that yet. But as I said, the Ripple decided to lean in and fight this fight, both Ripple with the whole industry, and we've spent a lot of money defending it. And I think what we've called out is really that the government and the United States and the SEC particularly is putting politics ahead of smart policy, and because of that, you're seeing entrepreneurs go overseas, are seeing companies like Ripple. Most of our hiring is non-US now. Most of our customers, as I mentioned, are non-US, and so I think it's kind of to be expected. So yeah, like, this was a huge, bomb that got dropped. But do I keep these dates on hand? Do I mark them on my calendars? Do I wait for these dates to arise now? I don't. I think for the longest time, what we have learned in the past couple of years is the fact that we shouldn't be waiting for these dates, because most of them, that they don't happen. We don't see anything happened within these, time frames. But if we finally get this, if we finally have this done in weeks, then this is going to be very, very big. And I do think that, these human emails, they definitely are, big key. I think that they are a big key to the puzzle, and it could ultimately unlock a lot of locks that, have been locked for a while, and it could open up a massive storm for the SEC to deal with, and I think that will be very beneficial for all XRP holders out there, and also for Ripple the company. I think that this is going to be great. I think that the entire crypto industry can benefit from seeing these hidden emails, because what we will see is the SEC really not being suitable for the job. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications. See you later, bye.